this.
Good morning, professor, classmates. I hope you're doing an excellent quarantine. I know, as a matter of fact, that you might be bored or overwhelmed with the whole situation that the world is currently living with all this pandemic, right? So I know that if we stay together, if we do as the governors or authorities says, we're gonna make it through the other side of the bridge safely, and sooner or later, this situation is gonna come to an end. Now, in the meantime, I'd really like to pick a very interesting as well as fascinating topic that is called kinesics. Now, before I jump into a full explanation with details and everything about this fantastic branch of mathematics, I'm gonna you're gonna be participants of a little bit of exercise, right? So for this part of the video, I really would like you to close your eyes and imagine the following situation, the hypothetical situation that I'm about to tell you. Now, for the following part of the video, I request you to close your eyes in order to imagine the following hypothetical situation that I'm about to tell you, right? So, imagine that you are outside the gate of a fun boyard or maybe a simple one restaurant, depends on you. Now, imagine that you are waiting for someone, right? And it also will help you to picture the inside of that restaurant. Waitresses, waiters, perhaps tables in the bathroom, whatever that's inside a restaurant. Picture it. Now, your date has finally arrived. Now, as you greet each other, you shake hands and also exchange kisses, right? Now, the following thing that is going to happen is that both of you are going to sit in each extreme of the table. Now, you are looking each other into their eyes, right? And the next is that you are laughing, you're enjoying, you're having a very good time with that person, but you see your clock. It's a little bit late and you have to leave her or him at his or her respective home, right? So, the next morning, the first thing you're going to do is to pick up your phone, watch for your contacts, and you're probably going to look for that person and send a message so for you go out again, right? But the problem is that when you look carefully to your phone, you're going to realize that the contact photo is no longer available. That means that that person has blocked you, and you are surprised for it. You don't even know the reason why. If you were having a good and enjoyable time last night, why the person decided to block you? And then you obviously are sad about it. You're upset because you thought you were doing okay when you were not. Now, the obviously answer to this hypothetical situation is body language. Now, you probably didn't notice that in your date, she or he was sending suitable, really small messages, but with his or her body. I mean, if that person was with crossed legs towards you, and if that person had a neutral smile and constantly looking for the exit without even you realize that that person was in ordinary spelling saying, I don't want to be here. I don't feel comfortable. I don't like you. And despite the fact that that person was maybe saying yes with her head or his head, she was inside saying no. So this is the part when verbal and non-verbal elements of the communication were incongruent. Now, following the explanation, I will provide you with a more accurate definition of what is kinesics. Now, kinesics is defined as a bundle of critical nonverbal elements that strengthens the speaker's ability when putting across. Now, this means, in other words, that when we are speaking to other people, when we're trying to deliver a message, there's going to be a serial of factors that's going to help us to make it clearly and also effectively. Now, when talking about kinesics, we have to consider one stage first, that is appearance. Now, within appearance, we have to consider all the three main factors that are clothing, colors, and fabrics. Now, in the first part of clothing, you obviously have to use at least formal clothing when presenting you or doing a picnic. Now, this means obviously that you're going to use, for example, a three quarter suit. For example, if you are doing a conference within there's business people, or if you're doing a presentation at university, at least what is expect is to use something that highlights you from your expectors, right? So the second factor is colors. You definitely have to use colors that match with perhaps what you are talking, but not too much. There's a little line into what is too much and what is too little. This means that, for example, colors with patterns that are probably going to distract the viewer, for example, as yellow or green, has definitely to be avoided. Now, for the final stage, we're going to talk about fabrics. Now, fabrics refers to the fact of what the material of the clothing is made. Now, this means, for example, that if you don't feel comfortable using, for example, a wall of cotton or cotton, avoid them because they pressure air and try to use something more, something that lets the air flow out. For the explanation, I'm gonna go into the second stage, that is gestures. Now, gestures is also divided in three main branches. There is adapters, emblems, and illustrators. Now, the first one, adapters, are commonly things that we are touching. For example, if I'm touching this control, this remote control, I'm doing this because it might suggest that I'm suffering from anxiety or that I am nervous. And in a presentation, you cannot do that because it can also be done with our hands. First of all, if I'm doing this, I'm stretching my hands one to each other, and that reveals that I'm in anxiety. Or if I do this behind, but if I continue with the pressure. Now, for the second part, we're gonna have, in modern times, we also have cell phones. So it is very common that in presentations or in the pigments, when the speaker is in front of an audience, maybe the spectator is doing this. And this is a signal of boredom. Now, what a speaker can do to avoid this kind of thing is to make eye contact. That is something very important into kinesics. It also has its way to explain itself into other branches, but for this, for the final of the video, I'm gonna just say that eye contact is mainly important because I'm looking at the person direct to his or her eyes, and I can make a question. I can interrupt them. For example, I can say, "Excuse me, what do you know or what do you understand about this search and concern?" And the person is instantly going to break the phrase and start talking. Another thing that we have to consider into gestures is, of course, emblems. Now, emblems are commonly known because they are confused with language sign, right? So they are not the same. Emblems are simply gestures that we use on our daily basis that are very commonly and also wide world known. For example, this. It means okay with three fingers and a circle in this. If I say right with my thumbs up, it also means right, cool. And if I do this, it means hard. It is basically that. And if we go to the third stage, we're talking about what is really interesting is illustrators. Now, illustrators are the tricky ones because they are the only ones that we don't know that are being shown. These ones help our verbal statements to go through the outside. So if I do this when I'm trying to explain something, for example, the other day I was talking with Marta and she told me that she put the box in front of her and surprised her sister. That movement is considered as an illustrator and is form of strength. Now, in this movement, I am not thinking of I won't do this. I just do it. It's subconsciously. Now the third stage that I'm gonna go through is posture. Now there is a little bit of things about it that is very interesting and is gonna maybe help you towards your future depictions. For example, you along this video have noticed that I have my arms open and my legs are a little bit separated in a form of a V, right? So this is because if I do this, if I'm rigid and stiff, it looks like I'm totally nervous and maybe I don't know what I'm saying, right? So if I do this, if I open a little bit my legs and I open my arms, this shows not only confidence but also a sense of relaxment, right? It also goes along with melody of the voice. So you're also going to notice that in the previous explanations, you are going to see that I pitch certain tones and then I go down and I go up and I go down. This is done because it calls also your attention and it also helps that it sounds better, right? Now, there's some kind of things that you have really to avoid when doing a presentation. And first and most important, this one. Never ever on your life put your hands in your pockets. I said it's a very disgusting side. It also shows that you are hiding something, right? That's why expositors and speakers show their hands along with the open arms because they don't have anything to hide you. They are telling you something that is true and meaningful from them. But if you hide your hands, it means that you are also not interested and perhaps you're hiding something. Now, the next posture that you definitely have to avoid is crossing arms. When you're crossing your arms, it means that you are not interested in what the other person is saying, or vice versa, the other person is not interested in what you're saying. Now, this is very fundamental when also talking with other people, not always in an auditory. For example, if you're talking with a friend or a group of friends, imagine that you are in a circle and everyone, including their kids, is pointing to you and they are like laughing and doing this and doing that. And it means that people is interested in what you're saying. But if they have their feet a little bit uh, far from where you are and they have their arms crossed, it means that they are not really interested in what you're saying and they are expecting you to leave. Now, another final posture that you definitely have to avoid is to curve your spine because if you do this, it doesn't look right. If you straight up, then it looks better. Now, finally, for this part, I would really like to addition that these signs had maybe in the Calvin time, so I'm talking about decades and decades, different connotations and meanings. For example, the cross arms used to mean the protection. You are protecting you were protecting your heart or your lungs, the essential organs that are in this part of the chest. Now, I was forgetting. You cannot also finger your fingers like this. Please don't do that because people it's gonna concentrate themselves more on this distracting movement than in what you're saying. So try always to open your arms and hands. The fourth and final stage, I'm going to talk about facial expressions. They are the most likely like 100. They are a lot. So I'm just going to explain them, very few of them, and I want you to press attention hit on me on my face, right? So, for example, when you are having a conversation with someone, and that person is smiling like this, at your jokes or whatever you're saying, it means that it's being very benevolent to you. It doesn't find your joke funny, so you better stop. If the person is smiling extremely wide like this, and it means that it might you should be careful because that means that the person is showing their teeth. And when someone is showing their teeth, it means aggression. Now, you're gonna notice that when you are in front of someone and they are about to have a confrontation, the first things that you're gonna notice is that they are gonna close really strongly their hand for the punch, and they are gonna start smiling. It's like it's a pressure that's gonna. It's like your body is being conditioned to attack, and that's something that comes from the chimpanzees. Now, another thing within our that it's involved in facial expression, it's something that has to be with your nose, right? So this is a very interesting thing that you are going to learn about today. Now, when you're talking when someone and it's doing this kind of thing all the time, touching their nose, it means that they are lying. Why? Because when we were small, when we were children, we used to put as a sign, as a bodily movement, our hands in our mouth, trying to cover the light or something that is not true. Now, in a version of adults, we're trying to put our finger here, and it's like subconsciously. You will not notice that if you're lying off sleep. Now, you're gonna put your finger really close here, and you immediately are gonna have to take it away from your nose. If somebody does that when speaking to you, it means that something is not true at all. Now, another factor of nervousness is when a person is doing this. And someone is scratching their head like, oh man, I don't know. For example, if you're asking for an advice or something, and that person asks, do you think that I do look pretty in this? What do you think? And maybe the person is like, well, I don't know exactly. Maybe you, yeah, you look okay. It means stop. That person is insecure about your statement. And the final one is with our ears. When a person is touching their ears constantly in a conversation, it means that you have to stop talking because that person has had enough of your conversation. And again, when we were children, we used to do this for not listening, right? Now, as an version of adult, the gesture evolved and it became very, very slicing, like, all right. It's like the same with the nose, really quick. Now, as a conclusion of the video, I would really like to say that kinesics is a very extensive and enormous branch that has its most interesting things, and in this video, because of things of time and many others, I didn't talk about, but it will be interesting if you look about them because it's a very interesting topic. Thank you for listening to me, and I perhaps commit some errors during speaking, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember to stay home. Goodbye.